Hi, I'm Dee.
And I'm Em.
And we're going to teach you today how to hack a Chromebook.
Google and HP will tell you that the Chromebook in front of you is end of life and should be thrown away, but we'll show you how you can hack it and keep using it.
There are 3 parts to the process.
1. Removing the write protect screw.
2. Flashing the firmware.
And 3. Installing the OS.
Let's get started!
Hello and welcome to this quick video tutorial on how to remove the write protect screw on an HP Chromebook, Chromebook 14G4. The tools you're going to need for this is your favorite precision screwdriver set, and then I'm using an automotive trim removal tool. You can get these very cheaply at any hardware store, or anything that has a nice wide plastic blade on it would work just fine as well. So it's a pretty straightforward process. We're going to start with just the visible screws here to begin with, and these come right out. Make sure you hold on to these. They're all the same, so you don't have to worry about keeping track of which ones are which. This one's always kind of hard to get out there. It releases from the threads, but then it doesn't want to come out of the device. To get that out, I just use a little magnet from my set here, set it on there, and it comes right out. If you don't have a magnet, you can use some tweezers or whatever you got handy. Once all the visibles or screws are out, there's actually 5 hidden ones here, 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 and here under little rubber plugs. And the best way to get those out, we're going to start in the top left corner, is just get a screwdriver with a relatively small blade, pop in there at the bottom of the plug, and lift up. And there is some adhesive on these, so you're going to break an adhesive bond, but there is also a very small nub that fits into a hole right there. And then these are actually, the left one stays on the left, so as you take these off, just put them straight forward. And then this exposes a screw under each one of these. You can see the adhesive kind of gets, you make a mess of the adhesive, but it still holds pretty good afterwards. If you wanted to, you put a dot of glue on there, if you were worried about it. Sometimes these are a little tricky. Okay, got those plugs off. Go back to your Phillips. These all come out. Oops. Okay, once all those screws are out, you're going to take the machine and turn it upside down, or right side up I suppose. Open the lid. Now you'll see there's a silver, and well, kind of lighter silver on top, and then darker. This is the seam right here at the bottom. So take your pry tool, and then I use my fingernail just to make a tiny little gap, and just get that edge in there. Once you get edge in there, just slide it across, and not only in there about 1/4 of an inch or so, and then slide it all the way across the machine. You're going to hear some pops as the clips release. And then I'm just working my way up, gentle pressure. Once you get one side done, just go to the other side. It's going to sound really scary, but it's not too bad. Okay, once those all are released, you can grab the whole keyboard and slide up it. Now you don't have to unplug anything, all you have to do is just tilt this to the side and open like that. And the screw you're looking for is right here. This screw right here. This is the write protect screw. Just go ahead and unscrew that. And pull it out. And then go ahead and slip the keyboard right back down where it was. Now the best way I found here is just kind of lift it up a little bit and then just pinch it between your thumb and forefinger. And just snap that in. Going all the way around. And then if you don't get it perfect, that's okay, because when you put the screws in, it'll pull in the rest of the way. Okay. Close the lid, turn it over again, and the screws go back in. I like to start with the 4 corners. You'll hear it click in a little bit as the tension gets back on those screws. Just a few more here to do. You can hear the clips engaging as we get the tension back on those. And the last one. Great. Then we take our plugs, and remember they've got that one little rubber peg in there, and just going to line that up and push those in. The center one is just adhesive base, but it always seems to stick in pretty well after you're done. And once you got those all in, turn it back over and you're ready to proceed to the software section.
Let's flash the firmware. Please remember that you can pause the video at any time to make sure that you have the steps just right. The screens we are showing you are the screens that you should see for an HP 14G4 Chromebook. If you're using another type of Chromebook, the screens may vary a little bit.
Power on your Chromebook and allow it to boot to the OS. Click Let's Go. Now that you're on Chrome OS, you'll want to connect it to a Wi-Fi network. Make sure to pick a Wi-Fi network that has good internet.
Now you will be required to accept the Google Terms of Service.
The Chromebook may sit a while and get things ready.
A new screen will come up. Make sure not to log in. Instead, click the button on the bottom to browse as a guest. Then immediately go to the lower right hand side, click the menu, and click Exit Guest.
The first thing we will do is put the Chromebook in boot recovery mode. You can do this by pressing and holding Escape, Refresh, and Power at the same time.
Now that it's in recovery mode, let's tell it to go into developer mode. You can do that by pressing Ctrl-D. A new screen should pop up looking something like this. Press Enter to turn off OS verification.
A new screen looking like this will pop up. Wait about 30 seconds and don't press any keys. The Chromebook will eventually beep twice and then reboot.
After it reboots, the Chromebook will display a message that it is transitioning to developer mode. It will count down for 30 seconds. Don't press any keys.
This next screen will look similar, but you will notice a longer countdown in the upper left corner. This step can take anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes. Be patient.
When it's done, it will reboot and it will show a screen like this. Just wait a little bit longer and eventually it will boot into developer mode Chrome OS.
Now that you're in Chrome OS in developer mode, you'll want to connect it to a Wi-Fi network. Make sure to pick a Wi-Fi network that has good internet. School or work Wi-Fi may not work for this, as the sites we are using may be blocked.
Now you will be required to accept the Google Terms of Service.
The Chromebook may sit a while and get things ready.
A new screen will come up. Make sure not to log in. Instead, click the button on the bottom to browse as a guest.
Now navigate to mrchromebox.tech.
Scroll down on the left-hand side and click on Firmware Utility Script.
Scroll down the page until you see the first one-line script block.
Now press and hold Ctrl-Alt-T. A new window should pop up. Type shell and hit enter.
Select the script line and copy it to the clipboard. Then paste it to the new window you just opened. You can also type it. When you are done, press enter.
The command will take a moment to run and should eventually display a menu.
Select option 2 by entering the number 2 and then pressing enter. When prompted, you will press Y and then enter to continue.
If you get an error message like this one, it means that you didn't remove the right protection screw or there's a little bit of conductive debris connecting the screw pad. Open up the laptop and make sure that the screw is removed and make sure that there are no debris around where the screw was. An adult can use a razor blade to clean off the circuit board if there's any debris on it.
Select option 2 by entering the number 2 and then pressing enter. When prompted, you will press Y and then enter to continue. Press Y again to continue. It's going to ask you if you want to create a backup of the old Chrome firmware. You can press N and hit enter to skip that step. Now it's loading the firmware. This will take a while. Be patient! Eventually, it will come to a screen like this showing that it's done with this part of the firmware. Press Enter to go back to the menu.
Now we need to do the second part of the firmware. Select option 1 by pressing 1 and then press Enter. Just like before, you are going to press Y and then Enter to continue. You will then press Y again to confirm your choice. Again, this step will take a while. When it is done, you will press Enter to return to the main menu. Now that we are done flashing the firmware, we need to reboot. Do that by pressing R and hitting Enter.
Look at that! It's a bunny! You did it! The firmware is now flashed.
Don't worry about the eMMC error you see. We will show you in part 3 how to use that to load the new OS.
Now let's install the operating system. We've chosen to use Raspberry Pi Desktop, but you can use any Debian-based operating system.
Now that you have the USB drive ready, let's go back to your Chromebook. When your Chromebook boots, it will give you that error message we saw at the end of the firmware. Just press Enter and it will enter a shell prompt. Then type Exit and press Enter.
You should now be in BIOS. Select Boot menu and press Enter. If you have the flash drive plugged in and it was prepared properly, you will see it in the list. The flash drive name will be different based on the manufacturer of the drive, so it may look a little different than what you see on our screen. Select your USB drive and press Enter.
A menu will come up. Select Graphical Install and press Enter.
It will load for a minute and eventually ask you for a language. Select your language. Please be aware that you may have to scroll up to find English. Also, sometimes the trackpad does not work. You may have to use the arrow keys on the keyboard. Use Tab to change what is selected and Enter to continue.
It is going to start loading things. This may take some time depending on the speed of your flash drive.
Eventually, we'll start working on the drive partitions. We will need to make some changes here to help increase the life of the storage. Select Guided. Use entire disk.
Select the MMC SD card. Then select all files in one partition.
We're going to set up this operating system without a swap partition. This will lower the load placed on the internal drive and hopefully make it last longer.
Double-click on the swap partition and then double-click on delete the partition.
Then click on the ext4 partition and expand it to use the space that was previously allocated to swap. Make sure that you read each of the prompts and select yes you want to continue, otherwise you'll end up in a loop.
Sometimes it won't let you do this step. That's okay because you're only losing a little bit of storage. Just continue. Now that you have expanded the ext4 partition, we are almost done. Double-click Finish Partitioning and write changes to disk.
It's going to give you a warning and say that you did not configure a swap partition. You can safely ignore that message and continue on and fully partition the drive by selecting No. Then select Yes to partition the disk.
That's it. The install will now continue by itself. It can take about 20 minutes. We've included the entire install here so you can watch and compare it to what you're doing.
If at any time you run into trouble, you can just start this process over again and reinstall the operating system.
When it's done, it will prompt you to click Continue and reboot. Make sure to pull out the flash drive and reboot the system.
Once it boots, it will bring you into a Raspberry Pi desktop. It will walk you through a short setup where you set a username and a password, and then it will reboot, and then you will be good to go.
At that point, you'll have hacked your Chromebook completely and now have a full operating system on it that you can continue to use.
One thing you will need to remember to do is connect it to Wi-Fi at home and run any OS updates. This will take some time and you won't have time to do this at kids' night.
Raspberry Pi OS will prompt you when updates are ready to install.
You can do so many things with this Chromebook. While you can use it to surf the internet and watch YouTube, you can also play Minecraft or learn more about coding or even monitor airplanes as they fly overhead. The sky is the limit.
Congratulations and great job!